And welcome to the Paulding County Board of Commissioners April 28, 2015 board meeting. I'll call the meeting to order and welcome all of our invited guests and elected officials. Do I see any elected officials in the room? Thank you all for being here. We appreciate you. I'll remind you to turn off all cell phones, next tells and pagers, as it does interrupt the production. Would the marshal bring forth the sign-in sheet? We have 8 people wishing to speak, and all the agenda items are on chickens on agenda items. So thank you all. This evening for our invocation, we have Pastor John Nettles with the Beloved Kingdom Church. Pastor, if you'll come forward and lead us in our invocation. Immediately following, if you'll remain standing, the presentation of colors by Boy Scout Troop 25. And God bless you and thank you all for being here. Would you stand with me if you're able?
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we come before you in the name of Jesus right now. Truly, this is the day that the Lord has made, and we're going to rejoice and be glad in it. You said, now therefore let us come boldly before your throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace in time of need. You also said in the word, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, pray, seek my face, turn from their evil ways, then will I hear from heaven. I will forgive their sin and heal the land. Lord Jesus, we're here today giving thanks and giving praise. We enter into your gates with thanksgiving. We enter into your court with praise today. And we come before you, Lord, to give thanks and give honor. As we intercede for one another, we intercede right now for all Paulding County officials, the Board of Commission, the chairperson, the school, education school, each and every one, the first responders, every servant of the Lord God, household of faith. Lord, we pray for them. We lift them up to you, Lord. We ask you to search our hearts, create us a clean heart, O God, and a renewed spirit, Father. We ask you for the wisdom that you gave Solomon, that they may have the wisdom and understanding and knowledge to rule over great affairs and great nations. We thank you for each and every one here today. Bless them. Bless the issues that they should decide on. Let it be wise and let it be beneficial for all your citizens. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Color guard, forward, march. Color guard, halt. Post, colors. Center face. Everyone please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2. Scouts reform ranks. Color guard, dismissed.
Thank you all for being here, and baptism with Raymond in full uniform, and you had a child in this group. Yes, sir. Raymond Phillips. Thank you, Raymond, for y'all being here. Minutes action on April the 14th, 2015 work session minutes and April 14th, 2015 board meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion? Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous. Under announcements, I would like to announce that we will be having the air show. I've been seeing some great advertisements today. It was, I think in your Chick-fil-A lunch bag was an advertisement. So looks like it's getting some good press from Chick-fil-A. Also, there is a veterans event on Friday, May the 8th, to honor our veterans. If you're a veteran in our midst, would you stand and let us honor you? Thank you. The event for the veterans will be Friday week, May the 8th at 12. There's some practice ceremony that goes on from 1 to 4, and you're welcome to be a part of all of that. Commissioner Carmichael, I believe you're trying to get names of the people who'd like to attend, so he'll be here right after the meeting if you haven't already signed up, or you can get in contact with him if you don't have time to stay. It'll be a great event and honoring our veterans. There's no invited guest. Bid awards, action to purchase 9.44 wetlands credit for mitigation management in the amount of $271,880. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. Number 2, action to purchase 295,390 string credits from the lowest responsible bidder, 4-Star Group, in the amount of $8,566,310. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes 5-0. Reports from committees and departments are none. But I would like to, today, in the middle of everything, I failed to present our Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financing to Tabitha. It is a great award. It's hard to earn, so Tabitha, if you come forward and get your certificate. And y'all, she needs to stand and over. Got to thank her staff earlier today, so I think I just handed her a piece of paper, and maybe I didn't hand her anything at all, and I did have it up here, but it was a great honor. And if you want to brag a little bit, how many years in a row have you received this? 19 years. Isn't that amazing? We have now public participation on agenda items, and we have Jennifer Farrell, 39 Paces Lake Place, Dallas, Georgia, 30157.
Thank you again, guys. As I said, I can't say it enough just how gracious I am that you guys have spent time talking about this comic relief called chickens. I sat in this room this morning and y'all talked about million, even billion-dollar deals, and yet you still took 15 minutes out of your time to talk about chickens. So it's really important to me. It's probably not that important to you, but again, I appreciate y'all taking the time. I'm not sure if it's because you respect me and my persistence and my effort at it, or if you just want this to be resolved. Either way, again, just thank you from the bottom of my heart. We originally asked for similar restrictions that Commissioner Takana put forth this morning, with the exception of the setbacks. We originally asked for 10 feet setbacks from the property line, which is the same that's already in current zoning ordinance for a dog kennel, a garage, a work shed. And I'm surprised that our commissioners think that 5 hens need more square footage than 3 Rottweilers or 3 Great Danes or 3 barking Chihuahuas. So I was disappointed that 45 feet was the setbacks, but again, this is all about compromise, and we can negotiate that for sure. I think if we vote yes on what the proposition was presented this morning, we would still consider it a win. Both versions would allow 5 chickens max and no roosters on about a half-acre lot if the majority of your lot is in the back of your yard. The 45 feet from the side and both each sides from your neighbors, again, is doable. The 45 feet from your own house, however, would put the chicken coop in the middle of the yard. And I think we agreed that we didn't want this to be a community nuisance and to be an eyesore. And I just think having 45 feet setbacks and this atomic buffer around the chicken coop isn't necessary. I do eat what comes from my chicken, so I don't need the safety buffer of a 45-foot circumference around it to have a few chickens. So I would like to at least talk about negotiating that. With the proposed amendment that you put forth, I like all of it enough. We wanted 10, you wanted 45. Again, we can settle with that except for the 45 setbacks from the owner's property. So if there's an opportunity today to strike E from that proposed amendment that you did this morning, then I would be able to keep my chickens as well. I definitely don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth. I think that again, I can't be more gracious that you guys have actually spent the time, much less 8 months, talking about this. And again, maybe it's because you knew how persistent I wasn't going to be and I wasn't going to be done with this. But if there's just a way that we can negotiate letter E in your proposed amendment, I would appreciate that. So thanks again for y'all's time and effort, and hopefully we'll have this resolved today.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you very much.
My wife is asking me who you're talking to, and I say the chicken lady.
If I had a dime.
All right.
You have offered comment relief, so we've never had so much fun reviewing something that I can ever remember. Diana Bradley, 66 Gloria Way, Dallas, Georgia. Chickens.
I'm new to this. This is my first commission meeting, so I'm a little nervous here. And we just really found out that this subject was coming up about a week and a half ago, so I haven't had a whole lot of time to prepare. But my husband and I would love to have it. We are on almost an acre of land, so even with, as it is, we could do it, but there are many who will not be able to do it. This morning, Chairman Austin talked about, those chicken houses where they have to go in with the biohazard suits, and well, they have to do that because these chickens are being raised in completely unnatural conditions. They're crammed in there by the thousands, which promotes parasite growth, diseases. That's why avian flu, because they're totally stressed and unhealthy. No wonder avian flu can get to these birds. That's not the case with backyard chickens. These are loved pets, and they do provide. They provide eggs, they provide companionship, and I would like to be able to do that. I'm a city girl, grew up in suburbia, would love to have chickens. And right now, there are counties and cities all around us who've had this for years, and I've never heard of avian flu breaking out anywhere. So I don't think that's a concern for us in this position. And we talked also about budget problems, and I understand having to budget. My husband was out of work for almost 2 years, so we know what it's like to budget. Many of us are still recovering. The recession is supposed to be on its way to being over. I don't see that. But I think Jennifer said something earlier about a permit. We would gladly pay a permit fee to have chickens, if it's a budget concern. But if it's not being enforced now, I don't see how, when it's legal, you would have to put resources into making sure that everyone's staying legal. It's just, again, I'm not in your position. You guys have a lot of responsibility for Paulding County, and I appreciate what you do. And I know a couple of you. One well, and I appreciate him very much. But we would really like to be able to raise chickens here. And I have to agree, the 45-foot setback from our house, we put them out in the woods where we happen to live. And again, I understand it from a neighbor's perspective to have that 45-foot buffer, but from my own house, on cold, wet days when I've got to go feed and check on them, I would like to be able to do that close to my house. But thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Lynn Mitchell, chickens.
This is my first time, so I'm very nervous as well. I don't have any chickens, but I'm speaking on behalf of the people in Paulding County that do have chickens. My neighbors had chickens, and 2 houses down from me on the same side of the street, and 3 houses down from me on the other side of the street. They also had turkeys. They were family pets. They ate the eggs, and 3 boys were homeschooled, and that was one of their projects, was raising chickens and eating the eggs, learning how to actually cook using their own eggs. Now, as close as they were to me in a residential subdivision, I never knew there were chickens and turkeys there because there was no smell. They were well maintained. There were no cases of avian flu, no outward anything that you could tell in that neighborhood that there were chickens because of how well maintained they were. So I also feel like that the 45-foot is rather absurd, because like they said, you can have Rottweilers and you've got children next door and they're vicious. Chickens aren't vicious. They're not going to attack somebody unless they're literally being attacked to be put in a cooking pot. So on behalf of Paulding County, I think we should be able to maintain chickens for pets and eggs. Myself, if I could, I would keep them, but I also have dogs and cats, and I don't think the cats and chickens would work. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I failed to tell y'all that she lives at 63 Bent Creek Drive in Dallas, Georgia, 30157. Ellen Webster, 278 McPherson Church Road, 30132.
I have to apologize. I did not have my glasses on and accidentally signed up to speak when I thought I was signing in just to be here. But my son, Noah, who also signed up.
If you're going to speak, I need you to come to the lectern.
He would like to speak for us. Thank you.
Did he sign up?
Yes.
Is this Noah? Okay, great. Noah's at 278 McPherson Church Road, right, Noah?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. I got my first chickens when I was in about kindergarten, and it was a project we had in class. We would put the eggs in the incubator, and then we were allowed to take some of the chickens home. So we had about 5 chickens in the beginning, and from then we just kept on going. We kept on going. It lasted about 7 years. And then we got into a problem with our neighbor, and she wanted to get revenge on us for something that we never really wanted to start. And we had to give all our chickens away. And my mom was really close to them. And I just wanted to ask how you could put, it's legal for somebody to put dogs in a basement by themselves where they pee and poop all over the basement floor, and you can smell it in the whole neighborhood, and it's not a very pleasant smell. And I just think, compare that to letting chickens in your backyard, and they smell fine. I think that we should be worried about dogs in basements more than chickens in backyards. Thank you.
Thank you. Very brave young man. In the event that Noah or anyone else foresees a problem like this, that's why you call the marshal's office, and they do get public health involved if it's a health issue. So, thank you very much today. Christy Vera-Otto, and that's 645
I'm
Palmer
also
Cochran
guilty
Road.
of signing the wrong piece of paper.
We better put some glasses. About the signing sheet. Marshall, if you'll remind me to set some glasses back there. Josie Webster, 278 McPherson Church Road, 30136.
She did the same thing. They all followed me, I'm sorry.
Okay, well, thank y'all, and it's great copy relief, so thank you. Consent agenda, action on one consent agenda item, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It carries 5-0. Under old business, action on 2015-01-TAA, application by Jennifer Farrell for a text amendment to change the Paulding County zoning ordinance, Articles 8, Section B, H, R2 subdivision residential district as related to redefining agricultural facilities and now allowing backyard chickens as permitted use with limitations, tabled from the March 24, 2015 Board of Commissioners meeting. This was sent to us by the planning board that denied, and staff denied. A couple of things have come up that I want to make sure that we look at. One that I failed to bring up is vaccination and following state regulations on that. And then I didn't realize till this evening that the first time you read this was you read it out loud today.
That's correct.
So it hasn't been vetted legally, and Ms. Pownell, this is your old business, but again, did it include that and you said it was different from what Mr. Farrell originally asked for, but does this still protect homeowners associations that have a rule that you can't have chickens, or how does this oversee or supersede?
It would, because a homeowners association rule would always supersede any ordinance. So if a homeowners association is in place, then it would have a separate rule that would actually apply to dog pens, chicken houses, any of those things. It would always supersede any county ordinance. So those would be separate and apart from the county ordinance itself.
Well, again, I go back to legally, you have no direction for us to go in, because the first time you read it was today.
I haven't reviewed it at length, and admittedly, we just discussed that as well. So I don't have a comment to Ms. Farrell about looking at the setbacks at length. And I don't know if the planning staff does.
David, you're concerned with more health issue with vaccination than was a setback, is that correct? You okay with the setback?
I guess I'm. So right now, we don't have a motion. I don't know if you want a motion to table or you want a motion to move on, but I'll hear a motion on this issue and get a second, and then we'll go into discussion.
I'll make a motion that we vote on this.
Okay.
Do you make a motion? You need to make a motion.
To approve, I'm sorry, I said that.
Thank you.
I had that on my mind, it's time to vote.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
I second.
Motion second, now discussion.
Has anybody got any discussion?
Been discussing this a while.
We have. We've been discussing this for quite a while. I feel like what we did, like I said this morning, was we took Ms. Farrell's application and through the process of speaking to supporters, speaking to people that didn't support it, tried to come up with something that would be palatable for everybody to be able to work together to do. We have talked about chickens for a long time, and I think it is time to vote on it. I've got chickens. You got chickens? Anybody?
I ain't got no chickens.
Oh, God's children got chickens.
Everybody needs chickens.
I've got chickens on 30 acres.
Well, I got chicken on 17 acres, and I understand that it's two completely different things, I understand.
Right, and again, I spoke this morning for a few minutes, the reasons with the budget calls and emails that I've gotten are just even, and neighbor's property. You know, I really respect all the comments. I just, in trying to respect someone else's property is the main opposition that I've heard.
I agree with you, Dave, and I think that what I've gleaned from this crowd here and other people, and actually with me, if somebody came and said, I just don't like your chickens, I would be a good neighbor and I would deal with it. I just had an experience with a dog that kept getting out of my house and going up the road, and I love that little fella to death and had to take him to the vet and get him fixed. But I wanted to be a good neighbor. And so I think it's a good neighbor issue more than anything. And I feel like that everybody that's here that's supportive of chickens has tried to do the right thing, and I hope and pray to continue to try to do the right thing.
This is the cream of the crop here. I don't have any concern that people in this room would be very, just follow the letter of the law. But just like animal control could come up and talk about everything people do with their dogs or don't do with their dogs, the same thing's going to happen with an additional type animal that's out there. It's a tremendous amount of work. And again, like I said this morning, I spent time talking to Major LaHome with the marshals and the budget increases associated with the extra enforcement.
No, we've got chickens out there now. Illegal chickens. I mean, we've got illegal chickens out there now. And we're only dealing with the ones where we get calls on. That's the same as an illegal dog, and what I mean is if they're not in a fenced-in area or with a visible fence or the collar that goes on and they're on a leash. We've got dogs that aren't correct either. And the only ones that we deal with as far as the dogs are concerned are the calls that we receive. Every issue that comes before this board, to me, is an important issue to think about all the citizens. I take it serious. We kind of laugh about me talking to the chicken lady. And Jennifer and I have had a good time with that. But I take it serious for all sides because things that we do affect citizens' day-to-day life. Ms. Farrell brought something to us, and I don't know that to begin with we did everything we needed to do to take a good look at it. And I think over time we did, and I made a commitment 4 weeks ago, those of you that were here, that we would sit in this room tonight and I would bring something to you. Now, I say I bring something to you. I had help with our staff. I had help with Mr. Collette. Talked to Mr. Crow about a few things when it comes to the chickens. But what I have learned through this process of listening to people that support them and people that don't support them, this is what I've learned. The issues out there that have come up about chicken coops that were done that have a blue tarp and don't look good. We come up with those issues on all kinds of things, storage sheds, fences that don't look good and different things. But that's been an issue, so we addressed it in what we've proposed. The other issue that we came up was free roaming birds. And so we addressed that inside the ordinance that we did. The other issue that we heard was they put the coop closer to my house than they did their house, or closer to my property line, on my property line, and not. So we dealt with those issues. So we tried to deal with those issues in the ordinance. We probably do have the cream of the crop when it comes to chicken supporters in here. And I appreciate that. But I can tell you, there's a lot of people out there that get very frustrated with barking dogs or dogs that are in the backyard or too many dogs. that becomes a smelly issue. That's the one thing that I haven't heard from people that live beside somebody that have illegal chickens, is have had a smell issue, okay? But it's been, put it in their yard, more closer to them than us, and I don't like the blue tarp, and they don't need to be running everywhere, and why do we have to have 20? Can't they just have 10, or can't they have whatever? Ms. Farrell brought in 1-6. I had some discussion about 4, and we settled with 5. So we've tried to work with this, but we've talked about chickens for a long time, and if we make a wrong decision or a bad decision, or we find out we need to do something to adjust something, this board has the power to come back and visit those issues. I just want you to know that I feel like all the commissioners have taken it serious. Maybe there's some that don't really want the ordinance, but I think all of us are looking out for both sides within reason. And I guess that's just all I got to say.
One other piece of information for anybody that's here, because they came after work and weren't here this morning, is the planning and zoning meets every second meeting of the month, the fourth Tuesday of every month. And Farrell's and others of y'all have been here at several of those. We didn't have them, as we said this morning, in, was it November and December? So unless there's business, we won't have, it's in 2 o'clock in the afternoon, once a month, for different zoning changes. So this table up here has the planning and zoning members that we appoint. And the community development either request acceptance, as we'll see here earlier on the Savage Run by Mr. Moon, or denial. And on the Farrell's case, they recommended denial. And then planning and zoning, the board members, which I have deepest respect for, they're spending their time coming in and listening to different cases, also did not vote for Ms. Farrell's case. So that's some other information for those of you that weren't here this morning.
When I put the agenda together, I try to put an agenda item and then have it vetted by legal. This is not my agenda item. Legal has not looked at this until she read it aloud today, borrowing a copy. So for that reason, you would send me vote no. You can tell by looking at me, I consume a lot of eggs and I consume a lot of chicken. And I like them both. People that raise them. But I want to make sure that we are legal in everything we do. There is a motion and a second to approve this. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay. And it passes 3-2. New business item, action to authorize the chairman to execute a modification of promissory note and loan agreement with GFA for loan project number WS12L13WR. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. Number 2, action to authorize the chairman to execute a memorandum of understanding with GFA for the State Direct Investment, SDI, and low-interest loan for transmission improvements associated with Richland Creek Reservoir. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion and second. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries 5-0. In case you're wondering, and we're in earlier meetings today, this is financing that we have arranged. The governor has given us $50 million in direct investment that we don't have to pay back. They will own a small portion of some pipeline, and they have to own an asset to be a partner in this, but they are doing this in order to get us off Top Marietta and help us build our reservoir and build it bigger and faster. So those measures put us in the 82 million range, not counting the state direct investment. So it is a fund that Governor Deal has put together and to build reservoirs. And hopefully have 2 or 3 of those approved. So if you're just wondering what those 2 items were, they were about financing for a new reservoir. Well, as Todd had said, today we didn't do a great job of explaining, but Tabitha, anytime bids come in to the county, Tabitha's group in finance is in charge of it. For the first bid, we only had 1 bid, and they checked the person out, and I guess you came to the conclusion this was a qualified bidder, and we approved it. Number 2, we had 3 people, 3 groups that bid on the mitigation credits, and they have to be within the Etowah Basin, and have to be able to be credited back so that if you disturb area within that basin, then you have replaced it. Now, common sense tells me that if I'm going to back water up on a piece of property, I'm going to make my own wetlands. And so I'll just replace it with new wetlands, but that's not the way the Corps works. So you have to purchase credits, and they've gone up by more than 10 times since we started this process in '99. So we're actively working, hopefully, I'm optimistic, but I'm saying a month we hope to have that. Number 3, action to adopt resolution 15-13, providing for the exchange and transfer of real property with Paulding County Municipal Building Authority and the right-of-way purposes, and authorizing the execution of a deed for such purposes. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. Number 4, action to propose second amendment to the intergovernmental agreement contract between Paulding County and the Paulding County Airport Authority as proposed by Commissioner Powell. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay. It passes 3-2. Number 5, action to adopt resolution 15-14, confirming executive session for the purposes of pending litigation in real estate. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries 5-0. Then we have items from the Planning Commission. Today we have April 28, 2015-2-SUP application by Chuck. Help me with this one.
Good.
Good day.
Yes, sir.
For a special use permit for church property is located in land lot 475, District 19, Section 2, Citizen Square Shopping Center, Suite 120 and 122. North side of State Route 120, aka Charles Hardy Parkway, west of East Ballin Drive. 4075 Charles Hardy Parkway, Suite 120 and 122. This is in Post 1. Recommendation for approval 4-0-0 with 2 stipulations. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve with the 2 stipulations.
Second with 2 stipulations.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. 2015-03-SUP application by Gregory Keith Moon for a special use permit on approximately 20 acres for 2 to 3 foot race events with approval of vendors per year. The site is zoned A1 Agriculture District. Property is located in land lots 338, 339, District 3, Section 3, south side of Harmony Grove Church Road, west of Moonlit Trail and southeast of Dabbs Bridge Road. 2462 Harmony Grove Church Road. This is in Post 4. Recommendation for approval is 4-0-0 with 13 stipulations. Earlier today in the meeting, and I did have to leave right at the very end, I started thinking about this after the fire hats dedication, that we had vetted to the public that this was going to be a one-day event. And in the planning and zoning, we talked about, if overflowed, there would be a 2-day event. So for transparency reasons, I think we have to look at this, the way we presented this to the public, it would be a 1-day event. I'll have to turn to my fellow commissioners and see your thoughts. Probably it's good to make a motion in a second and then go into discussion. Do I hear a motion?
I was pausing for a second, if it's in Mr. Crow's post, is what I was doing, so.
Well, I want any participation that, any input you probably want to give. David, you're saying that the rate.
We can, you can,
You need to make a motion.
you make a motion,
Okay, I gotta make a
and we can
motion.
come
I'll
back.
make a motion and stuff. All right, I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion with the 2 stipulations. With 13 stipulations.
Yeah.
Um,
There's confusion.
There is a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Now discussion.
Here's the thing, the public, I mean, I'm all for the race. 2 of my kids ran in it here 2 weeks ago.
In case y'all are wondering, this is called the Savage Race. You may have seen it advertised, may have been people that have participated in it. And we had testimony today from Beef O'Brady's. It's the greatest 1-day event that they've had for their restaurant. Sorry.
I think he finally taught Commissioner Crowe to run in the next one also. But the point is that maybe some of the public that were okay with it being 1 day didn't have the privilege of coming and speaking and representing if they're for or against the 2 days. So, we may consider voting on it for the 1 day and then amending it. Maybe we'll get some guidance here from community development, amending it at the next planning and zoning meeting for 2 days.
Okay. So, I know it was brought up that you all were talking about it. Excuse me, I apologize. Basically, you were looking at a 2-day event to put a max. You realized that somewhere around 4,000, 4,200 people, you were kind of getting maxed out. And you were trying to relieve from making it too much of a burden on 1 day for the public is what it was.
Yes, sir, but we do have, we can carry a lot more people.
Right.
But what we're trying to do is not influx the whole community and make it a painless situation. We don't want any bad things for the neighborhood, We can't take up to more than that, but we're trying to do it to where, if we have, say, 6,800, 6,000, 6,800 runners, we don't want to crowd everybody in 1 day. We just want to be able to do maybe a 2-day event, Saturday be a short, sweet day to be over with, and the traffic and everything, everybody, it'll just be a lot easier for everybody.
Okay, and so with that said, not to put anybody on the spot, the application that you're working in right now, because this is actually, I think right now, your 3rd year.
Yes, sir.
You've actually had 5 events.
Yes, sir.
You've got 1 more planned this year.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the application that you're working in right now ends when?
I think it's the end of August.
Okay, so we're good till the end of August.
Well, we do have an event scheduled for September the 26th.
Right, okay. Anybody else can join in if you like. I'm just doing some thinking before I open my mouth and
Well,
say something.
a couple of things is that it seems like it's brought a new event to Holland. It's brought in visitation, it's filled our hotels, it's filled our restaurants. It seems like a good thing to me. And I would be for it, except for the way that we vet it to the public, and that it would be a 1-day event. And then in planning and zoning, you got changed today. And I'm just saying, somebody that would be acceptable to a 2-day event now is looking at possibly 6 days. And we talked about this earlier, there is a church on that property, and the Sunday race would start early. And then I think the other part that I would want to make sure that we cover is that for this community, and we're looking at Seven Hills, Bentwater, that whole area with surrounding neighbors. We said this would stop at dark, but we didn't define a time that it needs to be over by. I think that would be a concern of mine, that, you know, dark to some people might be 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, dark to other people, like me to go to bed early might be 6 o'clock. So, I think we
Well, okay.
should talk about that.
Then okay, I've got, when we read the top part that we're reading, we talk about 2 to 3 foot races. And I remember there was some discussion in today, so I want to make sure we didn't drop the ball on number 1, because it says owner applicant agrees to hold no more than 2 events. Okay? So we're really looking at 2 events per year. And so what y'all are bringing up is that basically you applied for the 2 events, but we were looking at it as 2 one-day events.
Yeah, yes.
What we were looking at it. So jerk my chain if I need to stop, but,
Jerk it anyway.
just jerk it out. Go ahead, jerk my chain. I'm thinking out loud here
I
before.
don't know what you're about to say, so it's hard for me to do that.
So anyway, my point is, if we were to, don't do it yet, if we were to withdraw your motion to approve, and we tabled, and then we came back and we tabled it, how would we go to try to, because the planning and zoning approved it, so how would we go to try to put that out to the public, to let the public know, hey, they're looking at changing this from a 1-day event twice a year to a 2-day event twice a year? And what do y'all think about that? Because I'm all for the public knowing everything that we do right here at this board right here. So
Well,
how
I
would
know
we
Mr.
facilitate
Moon
that?
has, excuse me, your name?
Sam Avenue.
Sam that actually owns the Savage Race. And so it's their property and it's his race. And there's a lot of preparations, a lot of advertising, a lot of things that go into that. I don't know how the delays hurt your race. If, for you folks, if it would be better to go ahead tonight and have a 1-day, twice a year race approved, or to wait it out till, are you proposing to table this for 2 weeks?
Well, I'm kind of talking out loud here in front of everybody, just to, if you're good so far till August, and you're trying to plan for September, so I get it. So you're not gonna do anything different between now and August. You just want to be able to.
Now,
Yes.
so,
Well, yes.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
okay. Our next event is September.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
People can hear it, yes.
Thank you. I just want to clarify a couple things, because, so our next event is September, so the fact that our permit ends in August doesn't really mean a whole lot. I mean, we kind of need another one for September. And our September event is not planned to be a 2-day event. What we would like to do is, if the September numbers would justify it, predictions for next year, we would open that event. When it opens, we'd open it as Saturday, Sunday. It's not something we generally like to do after an event's already been launched, because then people who sign up for Saturday want to switch and it causes problems. So for this next coming event, you know, I think we would prefer just to go ahead and get approval for 1 day, because that's what we're looking at right now. And then if it means coming back and asking for that second day, that's something we can do down the road. And the other thing we asked about this morning was, or earlier this afternoon rather, was, you know, the ability to have a multi-year approval. That's more important to us at this point than having the 2-day approval. If we could get Saturdays only for the 3 years like we asked, with the ability to maybe come in later on this year and have the permit, the SUP permit revised in some way, I think that would maybe work best for us and give you the opportunity put it out to the public and let them give their comments.
And the zoning board deferred that to us.
Yeah, they did.
They did. The way this is written right now, actually, special use permits don't have an end date. When you approved this previously, the board commissioners had put an end date on it. That's the way that I understood it from Mr. Robinson and Ms. Lippman.
That was Mr. Barnett who did that.
Right,
So,
we'll put a date.
right.
So,
So it's my understanding that he would be willing to change that stipulation essentially back to a one-day event so it would match back up with what was originally discussed.
so you'd like to do that for 2 one-day events, and then you would like to have it for more than just 1 year, because we keep seeing you.
Yes, I mean,
Keep seeing us.
of course I'd like to have everything approved, but, you know, rather than having it tabled, I think I'd rather just have the one-day, multi-year with the, you know, given that every time we do an event, we have to submit application to traffic, to health. I mean,
Right.
even with the approval, we do that every time. So I think the best course of action, you know, for us, and of course you guys have other things to consider, would be if we could just do that, just where it's kind of indefinite approval, but always is subject to the review process for one day, and then we would come back and try to revise it for 2, where you have more time to bring to your people.
I think also in this, we have to look at some kind of time stop that we need to possibly have on here as number 14, which gives us a time it's over. So, you know, you say at dark, let's define that, is that 8 o'clock?
That'd be fine.
That,
And does that mean that all of our participants are out by 8 o'clock?
no. The race is, you know, we have to have some time that we say that it's over, because to clear 6,000 people, 4,000 people from an area that takes quite a long time. So that's why I'm asking for the event to be over at a certain time, so that, you know, hopefully within 2 hours, by 10 o'clock, the cars are gone and the lights are down, and
Yeah, it's not a problem at all. I mean, by 8 o'clock, I like to be back to the hotel myself, so, if you want to say 8 o'clock, I mean, I think in this last race, and this is the biggest one we've had here, I think all the participants were out by 5. And so 8 o'clock gives us enough time to clean up and.
Mr. Mayor, if you come to
Please, thank you, sir.
And again, just to clarify, this is a landowner, and Sam is the actual Savage Race, so.
I'm Keith Moon, people don't know me, I'm the landowner. And what Sam's trying to get at, as the race progresses, the race comes in times, it's time periods of every so many minutes, we have links of people to come through. So what's happening during the day, people are progressively leaving as the day progresses. So it's really not like at 8 o'clock, everybody's just slamming out of there. So generally by 5 or 6 o'clock, everybody is pretty much out of there. The last race, you might have a few stragglers come in, but generally by 6, 7 o'clock, everything's done. We're cleaning up and we're out of there. It's not a all-night event. There's no lights. There's nothing to hamper anything. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. But you got, everything is timed. People, as they come through, they get their t-shirts and trophies and their medals, and they start leaving, dispersing as the day goes on. Everybody's not leaving in one herd.
That makes sense.
Yes, sir.
Makes a lot of sense. So, you know, I'd like to add 14 as a stipulation to say that, are y'all okay then with the race being over, let's say at 7? The actual race itself, so we've got time to clear.
Meaning that no one would be on the race course past 7?
That's right.
But if we were still had people picking up trash or something like that, that'd be okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, no, that's no problem.
Okay. Are y'all amenable to that? Okay.
Yeah.
But if you and I run the race,
Midnight.
we're gonna need more time.
We have golf carts to pick up the
I'm
trash.
not older than Todd, but I'll take that challenge. I'll be Todd.
I want to see that.
Okay. Or clarify for me where we are.
So basically,
Wait a minute,
All right,
on
I
it.
think, you changed stipulation 2 back to the owner applicant agrees that each event will be limited to a one-day event during daylight hours. And then 14 you've added is the race itself will be finished by 7 p.m. Which leaves you back with, are you going to add a 15 stating how long this particular special use permit is good for, which you've done in the past, or are you just gonna let this be indefinite?
You know, I know why we did it originally, because we had discussions on it before, because we weren't sure how good of neighbors you would be.
Yes, sir.
And so that's what we did.
And this doesn't recuse you from being a good neighbor.
Right.
And as you said, it comes back to these guys if what we've set down is not followed. And, you know, we've had to do this with mud bogging and a lot of other things that we absolutely need to follow the letter of the law, or it negates what you're trying to do. And, you know, I think you've set up a good event on a pretty wide open territory that's conducive to this, and a few neighbors will be opposed to it. They always are.
Yes, sir, I understand, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate what y'all trying to do with what you're talking about with the mud bog and stuff and everything, and these are athletes that come in here. It's not a free-for-all.
So you're saying if I go there, I'll be considered an athlete?
Yes, sir. You'll be a superior athlete.
So, you guys would like to know that you have 3 years. Is what you would like to.
Yes, sir, because we want to improve the roads and stuff, you know, with just the 1 year thing coming. We want to be able to, if we do have more people than 4,000, we want to be able to know that we can widen the roads and spend the money and make sure everything in place is out there. We'll handle everything without having any repercussions in the community. And that's the reason we did ask, you know, for a 2-day event if we have so many people. That way, it wouldn't have any repercussions on the community. We want this thing to be a positive situation. We don't want any negativity for anybody. We don't want anybody having pains with it. We just want a nice, easy situation for the community. It helps out everybody with the economics and everything. It helps me greatly to be able to keep my farm.
Okay. So if we vote on it like it is, or it is illegal, this stands open for multi-year?
This is open currently, period, for multi-year. It doesn't have an end date.
Unless the Board of Commissioners puts a
Puts
specific
an
time,
end date
like
on
a
it.
year or 3 years.
And then you're also telling me that if there's violations, then it comes back to us.
But specifically what it says is failure to comply with the above list of conditions shall result in the nullification and voiding of this special use permit. So if they don't follow these stipulations, it would void the special use permits. Y'all need to know that.
And also, this is non-transferable. So if you were to sell Moonlight Trails, which I don't think you would do, but if you were to, it's not transferable. They would have to come back in for a special use permit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's just for us. And then, like I said, we're part of the community. We want to be positive. And then, you know, the reason we're doing this, I'm being honest with you, we're trying to keep our farm. And we want to keep our farm. We don't want another subdivision in the community. And that's the reason we're trying to do this. And Sam is good enough to come to us and help us financially to be able to make this happen. And I really appreciate y'all's time with this.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Well,
The motion and the second was for the original set of stipulations, so
withdraw it, right?
So, only you can do it.
only you can withdraw it.
Okay, well, I will withdraw it. So we can move on. I will
Okay.
withdraw the motion that I made with the 13 stipulation. We're gonna have 14. So
Now you have 14 and they've been amended again.
So we're okay with not having a 15, Mr. Chairman, right? Is that
What
we're
you said
comfortable
thus
with?
far.
Okay. So, we've
so
got,
you make a new motion.
Okay.
And that new motion is what?
I'll make a motion that we approve what was originally there, the 1 day event, 14.
Amended stipulation.
Man, stipulation.
Okay.
Okay.
Get me the key cards.
I make a second that we approve, and it'll one stays the same, that we have 2 events per year. Number 2 now says we have 1-day events. And number 14 says that we're done racing by 7 p.m.
Correct. Actual race time.
So I second to approve with the 14 stipulations as agreed upon.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. That's conclusion of our regular business session. Thank you folks for
Thank you,
being over it. There's no executive session, no public participation. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion second, all in favor say aye. Aye.